Okay, yeah. Hi, my name is Jimmy Palmiotti. I am a writer, an inker, an artist, an editor, a self-publisher. I pretty much do anything that can be done in the comic book business. Plus, I also am a screenwriter and work on TV and a little bit of everything. Joe Quesada and I were doing were self-publishing. We had a company called Event Comics. And we were putting out a bunch of books, and Marvel Comics was looking to. It was a time when Marvel wasn't doing that great. It wasn't really the Marvel Comics it is today, and they had the idea to maybe approach Joe and I to come in and edit a bunch of books for them. So we met with the guys at Marvel, and at the time they were having some money problems, Chapter 11, all that kind of stuff was going on. And they asked us if we had to pick any books, what books would we want to do? And we picked Daredevil, The Inhumans, Black Panther, and The Punisher. And those were the books we picked. And they gave us the penthouse of Marvel Comics. So we actually had the roof of Marvel Comics. That's where our office was. And what we did is we just hired friends of ours to do the books. So Kevin Smith was a movie director that was doing some Chasing Amy, a couple other movies. We actually helped him with some of the movies on the set with art, or we brought our convention booth there. And so we pretty much grabbed everybody we knew to do the books. And it was an exciting time because it actually worked. The books actually sold. We made a lot of noise for Marvel. And in a way, we helped bring Hollywood into the Marvel picture, because we bringing in a guy like Kevin. Kevin's best friends were Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, and we got to meet them. And so again, we brought a little bit of Hollywood to it. We gave them a little boost that they needed. Production-wise, we tried to outdo Marvel. So we tried to make the books better than the Marvel books that were there, to show that two morons can do that, come there and do that. And it worked out pretty good. I mean, it's why I'm sitting here and pretty successful, is because that worked. But it was an experiment at the time, and it was a very exciting time for us. Yeah, I started in the business as an inker. I actually started as an artist, a penciler, and then they liked my ink, so I got work for inking, and I did that for years. But my favorite thing is creating, so that would be writing. I definitely gives me a lot more. The artistic end, the comics, takes a lot of time, but I can write a couple of books a month, and I also like creating new properties. So for me, writing has always been the most fulfilling part of comics. So much so, I don't think I've inked anything in like 8 years. It's been a while since I inked anything, and I don't miss it. I don't miss it at all. I doodle every day, but that's for myself. But for comics, I think writing is the perfect job for me. Justin started out in the business. He was our intern at Marvel Knights. So he was a guy that worked for free and pretty much helped us out. And we became friends. And so we worked together. He lives in New York. I'm down in Florida. So we talk on the phone every day, on the internet. We collaborate on things like Jonah Hex and a lot of stuff for DC Comics. And he's great to work with. And with Amanda, that's my wife. And we're in the same house, so we tend to work on like Harley Quinn and Starfire all the time. We're out to dinner and we're laughing at something and say, oh, we should put that in Harley Quinn and we should do this. And so it's a little different, but I do prefer collaborating a lot, because I feel I get feedback from the other person. So the worst thing that can happen is you think every idea you have is a good one. That's not good. So when you collaborate, somebody sits there and tells you that's terrible, or somebody else did that, or it's a little bit of feedback instantly. So when writing, I like to collaborate. I'm a social person, so the idea of sitting at home and being alone all the time is not great. So when you collaborate, you're with somebody else, keeps your brain active, and I think it's a nice way to work. I mean, comics are a collaboration between a couple of people, but when writing, it's kind of fun to do it with somebody else. So Sex and Violence, the Glenat version, is going to be what I did as a Kickstarter, 2 separate books, but it's all going to be in one book. And they're short stories. I wouldn't say too short. There's some of them like 20 pages. Some are shorter, some are more. And it's 7 separate stories around the theme of sex and violence. So it's an adult book. It's not for kids. There's a lot of nudity. There's a lot of violence. But they're done in one stories. They're, I will say, like if it was a Twilight Zone episode, but with sex and violence as a theme. So in the couple of the stories, in the front is one about a guy who's trying to track down a friend's daughter who got involved in the porn industry. We have another one about a female cop who's a voyeur, and she watches a lesbian couple that's next door and gets involved in their life. And then another story is about a mom and a daughter who are looking for the mom's looking for a husband and the daughter's looking for a father, but they're both killers, and so on and so forth. So the themes of sex and violence, the stories are completely different. There's an array of all artists. There's a whole bunch of different artists on the book, and I think it's something for everyone in the book. I think there's something appealing about for the Kickstarters we did. They were our best-selling Kickstarters, and in the U.S. we have them on Comixology. They sell like crazy. So obviously people can't get enough of sex and violence, and I'm hoping over here they do pretty well. The Denver story was, I think it was like 64 pages. Yeah, you know, with anything I could have made it another 20, 30 more pages, but for the time we did, you know, there might be another one instead. So it's an open-end story, even though it begins and ends. But when you have a new idea, sometimes you don't know if it's going to work or not. So now I look at it and say, all right, that works. I could have made it a little longer, but at the time you're trying to say, is this going to work? Are people going to like it? Should I invest that much more money into it? And then people don't like it, and then I'm stuck. So we thought the 64 pages was pretty good. But with Denver, more than other properties, we did world building. So we created a world with a lot of characters. So like a TV show, Denver's like the pilot, the first one. And then hopefully we can do more one day. They're chasing us out to go, go, go. All right, well, thank you.